Hey guys, January 3rd here. I apologize, it's been way too long since I've done a live video, at least a little bit over 2 weeks, but I was off for about a week for Christmas. And I think even last time I apologized for not keeping the videos very current. So I will endeavor to do a better job. Anyways, it's January 3rd. I am in the west end of PEI. I'm actually in Skinner's Pond. I don't know if anyone knows where that is. I'm actually camped behind a pretty famous Canadian's home. That Canadian is, I think, passed. I don't know much about him actually, but perhaps most Canadians might have heard of Stompin' Tom Connors. Anyways, I'm actually camped behind the house that he kind of grew up in. So yeah, I don't know if I would even recognize one of his songs because it wasn't really my type of music. But anyways, that's where I am, Skinner's Pond, PEI. So I think the last time I did do an update, it was like December 15th or 16th. I think I was in the middle of a pretty bad windstorm. That windstorm continued into the next day, except the temperatures dropped to like minus 17 wind chill. I did post, I got pretty much saved last minute at 10:30 p.m. by Arie in Charlottetown. I was just packing up my laptop and ready to go camp in Victoria Park in Charlottetown, and I checked my phone and there was a message from her to say, hey, there's a warm bed waiting for you. That was awesome. I ended up spending 2 nights at her place. The next day she took me on a road tour around Charlottetown in a car and explained all the different architecture and history of Charlottetown, and it was amazing. So yeah, anyways, and then the next day I headed to my parents and was off for Christmas holidays. Yeah, it was good to be with family and see family. It had been 6 years since I'd done a family Christmas, and it was good to hang out with my nephews and whatnot. Admittedly, though, it was too long of a break. Many a times I was looking out the kitchen window, looking at the snow blowing and whatnot, and just wishing I was on the road. So I ended up getting on the road December 27th, I believe it was, and I did just do a quick 100-kilometer loop to the east point of PEI. And actually what happened is shortly after I got to the east point, my rear tire failed on me, so I had to switch into my folding tire once again, second time on this trip. But I think my tires were just bad. So anyways, so I did have a bit of an issue there, but so I did a 100-kilometer loop around the east point and then back to my parents. I ended up having to take, I think it was the 29th off. That was the Sunday because the bike shop for winter hours was closed on Monday. So if I'd left for Charlottetown Sunday, I would have had to sit in Charlottetown all day Monday, waiting for Tuesday morning. So anyways, I took another day off at my parents'. I left the Monday, got to Charlottetown, spent another night at Irene's place, which was amazing. Tuesday morning, just passed, I got my rear tire replaced. So now I'm got 2 good tires for the rest of the trip. I made my way to Summerside. I got stuck in my 3rd winter storm just as I was getting past the cutoff for the bridge. My 3rd winter storm hit. Fortunately not a huge accumulation of snow, mostly wind, so it blew most of the snow off the road, but there was, it was what it was. I got into Summerside, pulled into the first diner to grab something to eat. The guy looked at me, looked at the snow and the storm and this and that, and he's like, there's a shed in behind the store and in behind the restaurant, and he didn't know much about the shed. He didn't even know whatever, but he says the door swings wide open like it's unlocked. So I was like, heck yeah. So after dinner I had a quick look, and the shed looked like it was going to do its job, but it was still a bit early, so I went over to Tim Hortons for a few hours to work on blogging and this and that. And then so New Year's Eve I spent the night in a shed. And actually I should backtrack that winter storm, the snow turned into ice pellets. So that shed really kind of saved me a bit, because it was pretty wet. Everything was pretty wet by New Year's Eve with all the snow and the slush. But anyways, and that being said, for whatever reason, I was dry, I was warm, no wind, but I had a heck of a time falling asleep for whatever reason. So I didn't sleep so well, but I did stay dry. So anyways, from Summerside, I made my way to O'Leary. I ended up camping between two barns across the street from a Tim Hortons. Yeah, I remember I woke up that morning and I just didn't want to get out of my sleeping bag. Not so much, it wasn't that cold. It was just more just being nice it was just nice back being in my sleeping bag in the tent outside. I'm just amazed how much I enjoy being in my sleeping bag in my tent in this weather. So anyways, I kind of dragged my butt getting out of my sleeping bag, and finally got my camp broke, and it was like 11 o'clock, and I was just about to start heading out, and then my phone rang, and CBC Charlottetown was on the phone, a gentleman by the name of Sean, and the timing couldn't have been perfect, because like I said, there was a Tim Hortons right across the street, and if he had called me an hour earlier or an hour later, whatever, but anyways, I just said, give me a call, 5 minutes, I'll be in the Tim Hortons and we can talk. And so I did a 45-minute interview with CBC Charlottetown, and I'll just quickly fast forward to a few hours ago. I opened my phone and there was a posting on Facebook with an article that he wrote, and he actually I was pretty pleased with the job he did based on the interview. So anyways, that was kind of cool that I made it to CBC on their website or whatever. But anyways, so going back to yesterday, I did a 45-minute interview, and then go figure, in the middle of that interview, Irene McIsaac walks through the Tim Hortons. She had been at a wedding and this and that or something, and you want to figure out how small this province is. You know, the other end of the province, I run into this woman has been so instrumental in helping me stay warm in Charlottetown, and there we are in the West End, and she walks through the Tim Hortons. So that was really amazing. So anyways, I did get a fairly late start yesterday, so I only got as far as Tignish last night, and Irene sets me up with her niece, Brenda and her partner Michelle. And so last night I got to sleep in a warm bed again, thanks to Irene. So yeah, you want to talk about a small island. So that was really cool. I did post a little bit in some of my blog posts or whatever. I haven't really publicly, as far as the video or whatever, mentioned, but I think the plan is I'm going to slow down the ride a little bit. And what I mean by that is I'm doing a bunch of extra mileage in PEI. Like, I wasn't initially part of the plan to come out to the West Point. So I'm adding mileage there. And when I do leave PEI, I'm going to follow some of the coast to the Bay of Fundy towards Wolfville. And then I'm going to head to Halifax, and then I'm going to follow that coast to Digby. So I'm adding, almost another 600 kilometers to Nova Scotia. I've just been enjoying Atlantic Canada so much. The people that I'm running into, it's just crazy. Their generosity is amazing. The interactions are amazing. I'm running into the most interesting people on this bike ride. I never really anticipated any of that, and so I am adding some mileage to this whole Atlantic Canada side of things, just because it just seems like it's just, whatever this journey, whatever this bike ride was meant to be, based on my interactions with people, it's pretty apparent that I need to keep doing what I'm doing, and that's just taking advantage of every single interaction I can with any of the locals. So I am gonna, add some mileage to my Atlantic Canada side of things. So, anyways, this morning, once, just like I said, taking advantage of the local opportunity. Brenda, she brought me to her brother a few doors down. I posted some really cool photos of her brother's place. His fences are all made out of blue bottles. He's got these lawn ornament. I don't know how you want to describe them. You'll have to check the photos out. They're all made of blue bottles. She brought me in his house. The floor of his house is all this stone that he collected off the shores of PEI, and then he cut the stone, and then he individually customized and placed them in his floors. Just a really, really cool home for sure. And then she also took me to the local Catholic church and brought me inside to give me a tour of another cathedral type church. So just amazing interactions for sure. And anyways, from there, then I headed to the I guess they call the North Cape. So I was there for part of this afternoon, and then swung back around to Tignish to grab something to eat, because the point is fairly narrow. And anyways, I left. I was on the phone a little bit, Facebooking for a bit, because it was dark already, and so I made my way over here to Skinner's Pond to Stompin' Tom's old stomping grounds, and that's where I'm at. So tomorrow I'm going to head around to the West Cape and make my way to, I have a cousin actually that also moved to the island a few years ago, so I'm going to make it to his place for Sunday at some point, probably fairly early in the day kind of deal. So other than that, what an amazing experience, what an amazing adventure. I just can't believe how blessed and how lucky I've been with everything just coming together the way it has come together. Just always a place to sleep, always generous people reaching out, the nicest interactions. Yesterday when I pulled into Tignish to grab something to eat, there was a guy who was selling fish out of his pickup truck in the parking lot. He talked to me for a few minutes, and then he handed me a $20 bill. So the interactions are just amazing out here. Later this afternoon, I ran into the local postal lady delivering mail. She stopped. We talked for about 20 minutes. Everybody knows everybody out here. There's no strangers. You give a last name, and they know the whole family history. It's a very interesting experience. But anyways, probably that'll be it. I see there's a bunch of you guys watching. A few people, Barley's giving a shout out, and Ellen did earlier, and I appreciate you guys watching, and I appreciate all the encouragement. It really has been an amazing experience, and I'm just glad that I can share it with you guys, because I know a lot of you guys are really digging it. So anyways, what's this? Hold on a sec. Alistair says a lot. No, exactly. He's making a point that it says a lot about the experience if I'm adding 600 kilometers. That is on a bicycle. 600 kilometers is that's a few kilometers. I am loving Atlantic Canada as far as a place to tour. And that's the other thing is just for the other cyclists out there. Initially kind of highway tour, the Trans-Canada that kind of intersects through PEI, but a lot of what I'm doing right now is kind of the back roads along the shoreline, and I don't know what the traffic is like during the summer when the tourists are out along these shoreline roads, but at this time of year they're so quiet, and so I don't know. If you're a cyclist, I can't recommend enough to in the very least, bike Atlantic Canada at this time of year, because the people come out of the woodwork. Yeah, tons of friendly people, as Deb is mentioning. Tons of friendly people. when you're on the side, kind of like, yeah, the side roads, the shoreline roads, there's almost no traffic. And so it is so enjoyable type thing. You know, you do have to run the risk of some wind and obviously weather. I mean, the locals are telling me that usually there's supposed to be 10 feet of snow out here by now. And, you know, in most places there's barely 3 inches of snow. So I don't know where this 10 feet of snow is supposed to be or when it's coming. I've admitted a few times that when it comes to the weather, I've been extremely lucky. I've pretty much only hit 3 snowstorms, and we're January 3rd. Obviously, I have a lot more to anticipate snowstorm-wise and snow accumulation, but so far I've gotten about as lucky as I think you can expect to get. So anyways, I think that's probably where I'll cut it off. Like I said, I do apologize. I realize it was it's been a while since I've done a video update, and I'll promise once again to try to be a little bit more on top of that. So other than that, appreciate it. Have a good night, guys. Bye.